Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Glory Glory Man United podcast. I'm your host, as always, Kyle Quinn, and joining me today is a regular panelist, Nigel Duffy. How's it going, Nigel?
Going well, thanks, Kyle.
Definitely going well after Manchester United's 3-0 win against West Ham at Old Trafford. Although the scoreline is a bit deceiving, it sounds like an easy routine victory, but was actually hard fought from United's point of view. And if you look at the stats, West Ham had 22 shots, United had 12. Okay, United had more shots on target, 5-3. Um, Now, looking further down the stats here, West Ham had 8 block shots, while United only had 2. So there's a lot of lost defending from Manchester United. And West Ham had more corners in the game as well, 8 corners to United's 5. So it's fair to say United were more clinical and took the chances, Nigel.
Oh, definitely. But as you say, West Ham were always in the game. We're always capable of conceding at the back. We haven't got a steady back four. Martinez is the main man. He's much better than the other three defenders. He can actually defend. He reads the game better. And you talked about 8 blocks. Most of those blocks, maybe 6, were all from Martinez by reading the game, picking the ball up when it had been lost by somebody beside him or in front of him. Uh, a wonderful, wonderful player. He's been out already this season for 4 months. It's a body blow that he had to leave yesterday after 71 minutes. Anybody else you can afford to lose, but not your best defender. When our goal difference, Kyle, is still -1, it is shocking to think that we're going to have to play with a combination of players that none of them comes anywhere near what I would think is the superb defender at the club, Lisa Martinez.
Yeah, there's no doubt that he's one of our best centre backs, probably one of the best centre backs in the Premier League. And it's not a coincidence that we've seen an upturn in results since he's came back. And now it looks like we're going to be losing him again. As you said, he went off. A West Ham player landed on him when his leg was outstretched, and I think that he has done damage to his knee. And according to an Argentinian journalist who's quite good with news regarding Argentinian players, that's Gusto Edol. He says that Lissandro Martinez has a sprained collateral ligament. The worst case scenario has been avoided, but it will be between 6 to 8 weeks to recover, and he does not need surgery. Now, the worst possible scenario was that his season would have been over and he would have been ruled out till August. But thankfully, it's only 6 to 8 weeks. But he's gonna miss some crucial fixtures for United, not least away to Villa, the Manchester Derby, a couple of FA Cup ties. So, um, mixed feelings about this. I was expecting the worst, that he's going to be out till next season. But still, losing him for even one game is bad news, isn't it, Nigel?
Oh, it's dreadful. It's dreadful. If you even go back to the previous game against Wolves, what we watched, Kyle, that terrible cross that the goalkeeper flapped at and the ball was headed over him, and who was on the line to clear it? I mean, that sort of reading of the game is just incomparable compared to what we normally see at the back there. I mean, the goals we've already conceded in 22 league games, 23, but it's uh, how do you? Everything was based around him, and quite rightly so, because he's the classy footballer. The rest of them are filling in there, as far as I'm concerned, until we get better replacements. You must start at the back with a steady back four, and we're going back the next game against Aston Villa next week with our lead defender and a square one again for me. You couldn't back United from now to the end of the season without Martinez, with not conceding a goal in every single game. I have said to you before that possibly the worst three, possibly five teams in the 20-team Premier League. As that's how bad I think our current defence is, and the numbers reflect that, Kyle, very clearly.
Yeah, and another important aspect of Martinez's play is his line-breaking passes. He always looks to pass the ball forward. Even in the modern game, there's a lot of sideways passing, but Martinez almost never does that. He can play a defense-splitting pass, and we've seen that in recent games, and we have really missed that. You think he set up one of the goals against Newport, the or was it? Maybe, I think it was the chance where Garnacho hit the crossbar against Newport,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Martinez was out of this world, and we're really going to miss that as well, aren't we?
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, he's a lovely left foot, and he sees things early. Once he intercepts a pass, perhaps from somebody else's mistake, he's on the front foot, and as you say, he plays distribution is beautiful from the back to the front. It's going to be badly, badly missed.
Danny here says in the comments that he had a badly sprained ankle ligaments at the end of November, and I'm still feeling it today, 9 weeks later. I didn't have the medical help that that you would have in Manchester United. Yeah, but Martinez will always have access, to the best possible medical care. You would have thought. I'm hoping that they've said that 6 weeks at the earliest and 8 weeks at the worst. I'm hoping that maybe, as it's only a sprain, that maybe he might make it back in 4 weeks. Sometimes that happens. People, they're ahead of schedule, and they get back to playing sooner than expected. But what's important though is that we don't rush him back. We did
Yeah.
that when he got injured against Sevilla last season. We rushed him back. I think it was discovered that he had a broken foot that was undetected or something, which is why
Mm.
he struggled in the first part of the season. He didn't look himself, and obviously he ended up needing surgery and being out for 4 months. It's been a frustrating season for us on Martinez. Um, but we had this with Vidic. Fully committed players who get stuck in, they tend to pick up impact injuries. You probably remember yourself, Nigel, how many times Vidic picked up an injury because he was full blooded, wasn't
He was. He was very committed. Kevin Moran was the same, but his injuries were normally head injuries because he was
he?
throwing his head at people's feet. I mean, he's one of the bravest footballers ever played for the club. But when you consider Martinez's commitment to some of the players we have strolling about, even yesterday, it's amazing the difference between that word commitment and just going through the motions.
Yeah, and he reads the game so well as well, which is very important. Yeah, yeah. We don't have another defender like him at the club. Um, like it's one of the rare occasions where we'll actually praise Ten Hag for making a signing. um,
Yeah, very rarely,
um,
yes.
Danny here says Shaw needs to stay at left back. I would agree with that. So it will be Varane and Maguire at centre back. Um, yeah, I think we miss Shaw at left back if he's playing centre back, and then that it probably means Dallo at left back, which I'm not a fan of. So the best case scenario really at the moment is Varane and Maguire, because I think both of us are not a fan of Lindelof, and Johnny Evans is 36 years old. He's done okay in most of the games that he's played this season. If Varane and Maguire is not a bad idea, but and if you're playing against pace, then it could be an issue. So probably overall, Varane and Maguire is the best case scenario. Although Maguire, who was solid for most of yesterday, he he made a major error that let in Emerson, and he shanked it into the stands. So we got lucky with that one, and so did Maguire. Yeah, Maguire seemed to either miscontrolled. Yeah, I think his touch let him down, and then Emerson stole in and was clean through. But thankfully he didn't score. But
Yeah.
Maguire, that's the thing with Maguire. He can be decent for most of the game, but then he's always got that era in him and that lets him down. Like what we saw yesterday, or scoring an own goal, or making a rash challenge. Um, yeah, Maguire is just nowhere near the level of Martinez, I'm afraid.
No, definitely not. He thinks he's time, and he hasn't got it, and he's found out. And that's when he's at his most vulnerable. But the wee dink over his head there near the end, I was surprised he was caught out by that, because if you're asking me to talk about his strengths, it's definitely in the air. And you like to think when corners and free kicks come in, he'll be dominant and clear. But it just shows you what can happen.
Yes, that's when he mistimed his header on the ball went over his head to Jared Bowen, who had a brilliant first touch, took him through
Yeah.
on goal, and luckily Dallo made a last ditch challenge to
Yeah, it's a
block
great
the shot.
challenge, yes. Yeah. To be fair to Dallo,
Yeah,
it was
he
a
was
great, and he
fully
came from
committed
the
there.
field. Yeah, yeah, he was.
he came from a long way back as well. He showed great pace. Um, Dallo, he's good when we're in possession, in recent times. But yesterday we seen him get beat far too many times by Mohamed Kudus, and that's the problem. I know Kudus is a quality player. Dallo gets beat far too often in one-on-one situations, and that's why I'm not getting carried away. There seems to be a big divide in the fan base at the moment over Dallo. Some people are lauding him, saying how much he's improved, and we need to give him more praise. And other people are just not impressed, like me, thinking, okay, there is a slight improvement there, and he's he's good when we're in possession, for the most
Yeah,
part. But your number one job as a right back is your defending, and he's just nowhere near good enough. There, I know he made a last test challenge, and that was very important. But when there's a PC winger running at him one on one, I don't trust him. And yeah, he got beat far too many times yesterday by Mohamed Kudus. So like you alluded to earlier, Nigel, the back four is not. It looks better when Martinez and Shaw are in it. When you take
yeah.
Martinez out now, I fully expect us to concede goals like we have done. We have to score three or four to win games now because we're conceding far too many, aren't we?
That's true. Well, Kyle, I saw Dallo yesterday at least 3 or 4 times in the midfield. And twice I saw him on the left side of midfield, and he's a right footed player. Now, when he was there, where was the man he was supposed to be marking at that particular point of the game? Because we've seen before in the goals conceded this season, the ball's cleared from the back quickly from a counter attack. Dallo's not there in the picture at all. And the right side is totally vacant for a clear cut attack and a possible goal from our opposition. Does the manager
Well,
give him license to do that? To leave his man and going into the
yes,
left
he
side of the
does.
field? Well, I don't agree with that. I think that's terrible organisation.
Yeah, it's fair. It's high risk football, all right. Giving Dal the license to operate as an extra midfielder, but then you're leaving yourself open at the back. We've seen the equaliser from Newport County where Dallo must have been 20 yards off his man when the ball came in, and that's totally unacceptable, especially when he's playing against a fourth division team. He should stand out like a superstar when he's playing against a winger at that level.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, when he was on the attack yesterday, he done one of his trademark step overs. Do you remember that one?
I, I do
um,
indeed. A la Ronaldo, yeah. Yeah. He's watching too many
yeah,
old tapes, I think.
I think his shot was blocked. But yeah, do you notice he's taking a lot of shots from outside the area now because he scored against Wigan and Sheffield United? He thinks he can
Yeah.
score from anywhere now. He's getting a bit carried away with himself there, isn't he?
Oh, he certainly is. And if
Um,
the ball ricochets up the other side of the pitch, we're a man down and totally exposed. I mean, somebody has to see that. That's major danger for our defence.
yeah, I've said it for a while now that we need an upgrade at right back. Like Wan Bissaka, as good as he is at defending, s- still doesn't have what you want from our modern fullback, which is, you know, almost operating as a wing back. Trent Alexander-Arnold and Kyle Walker are streets ahead of Wan Bissaka in possession, so we need to have somebody who's at that level. I think it's very hard in the modern day to find a blend between a really great one-on-one defender, someone who can defend the back post, and then someone who can get forward and get assists and goals. It's very hard to
Yeah.
find someone who can do all of those things. But my preference would have been to keep Wan Bissaka, sell Dallo, and get a really attacking fullback, and then you have two different fullbacks for certain situations depending on who your opponent is. But it seems to me as if Wan Bissaka could be the one that's going to be sold. I hear there's interest from Saudi clubs, but we'll see how it turns out. Donny here says that Dallo has lapses in concentration, absolutely. So he needs to improve in that respect. I agree. He has come on leaps and bounds this season. Yeah. Um, yeah, we're just not quite at his defending is just not quite at the level that's required if we're going to win the Premier League. So I do think we need an upgrade. Um, so another talking point from yesterday before we get on to the goals, the most exciting thing to talk about was
Mm.
Casemiro. I felt had a much better game than what we've seen. theme this season. It was, I wouldn't say he was completely like the Casemiro of last season, but it was a step in that direction. He got the assist for Hoyland's goal with a well timed interception. And some of the balls he was spraying left and right were excellent. It was more like the old Casemiro, wasn't it, Nigel?
Yeah, well, he's a lovely player when he's on his game, and he's in his 30s now. You can see he's been out. He was out since November, and he's come back, and he struggled, but he's building up his match fitness. We can all talk about physical fitness, but in your 30s, it takes a degree of time. And certainly yesterday, since his return, that was his best game. And he's a very, very brave footballer. He wasn't as rash yesterday. Didn't get booked, did he, Kyle? I can't quite recall.
I don't think he did. No, I don't think he did.
No.
Yeah, not in this game. No.
No, he has the
So
self-discipline problems, but he was better yesterday. And as you say, his distribution, two or three balls were perfect. And the first goal he made it through his bravery was a great ball to win. People that often say United's midfield doesn't win 50-50 balls. Well, he's the man who's going to win them because he knows how to do it. He's been doing it for years. He's a classy player on his day.
yeah, and no United player was booked yesterday actually, which is good to see. It's very rare that that happens. Um,
Yeah,
Now getting to the goals, so like we've just said, Casemiro with the interception, ball falls to Hoyland, who feints to shoot with his right foot, takes it past the defender. No, feints to shoot with his left foot, then instead uses his left foot to take it past the defender, and then fires it into the net like an arrow with his right foot, right into the
yeah.
corner, unsavable. And you know that was just with his right foot, and he's a left-footed player. And I remember Van Persie was able to score power shots with his left and right foot, and obviously there's a certain United striker who's on loan at Getafe who can do that as well. So it's absolutely brilliant that we've got a number 9 who can score with both feet.
Yeah, absolutely marvelous. I think he did the defenders because in his first season in the Premier League, he's always seemed to look, certainly to me, that he favoured his left foot, and he hammered that goal in the other week on the left side. But he let them go thinking, and he feinted and cut inside, as you say, and then drilled it. And he hit the ball very hard with his alleged weak foot into the corner. It was a super goal and a lovely finish. And boy, did he enjoy that on his birthday, Kyle.
Yeah, his 21st birthday. I don't think my 21st birthday was quite as exciting as that now, scoring in front of the East
Yeah,
Stand at Old Trafford. Um,
yeah.
Marvelous.
You were
Now
probably in the place where Marcus Rashford was last week on your 21st birthday, I would imagine.
you're absolutely right. Yeah. um, yeah. So he got a brilliant goal with his left foot against Tottenham. That was another power shot, which is nearly took the net off. But then he got like a scruffy goal against Wolves. I like strikers getting scruffy goals. They're getting in there into the right areas, in the 6 yard box, getting on the end of crosses. Um, but I also love the shots from outside the box. So we've seen a great variety of goals, aren't we, from Hoyland?
Yes, he seems to be more. I thought the interaction between the front three in particular yesterday was much, much better. I mean, you and I have talked about uh, Hoyland being starved of service in the first half of the season, and so he was. And you could often see the frustration on his face, and you reminded me that he kicked the post in frustration the other week because he was in a goal scoring position and wasn't found. But certainly yesterday, if you take the 4 goals against Wolves and 3 goals yesterday, that now we're beginning to turn around. The front three are beginning to link and can get goals, and if they start building up and all three can get into double figures, let's move on and let them believe in themselves. We're 5 games undefeated. All right, we haven't played a lot of games in 2024, but we're undefeated at the moment before we go to Aston Villa. So we want to build on that, and especially the goal scoring stakes, which is really exciting when they link together and get round the back. It's so important to get round the back. And as you say, Hoyland's the man. He'll be in the middle, and he can knock it in. Whether it comes off the keeper and goes in off him, so what? It's a goal for centre forward, and I agree with you. That's every goal counts.
Yeah, and another player who had a superb performance was Alejandro Garnacho, who's given the man of the match by Sky. And once again, he came on the right hand side. scoring 2 goals. Um, the first one was a deflected shot with his left foot, but it was on target. You know, this happens to lots of teams in the league. I've watched matches a day countless times this season, seen the likes of Villa, Manchester City, Arsenal. You get the ball on target, it can ricochet off a defender and take it past the goalkeeper. And that's exactly what happens. Good to see us get a wee bit of luck like that. It might have been going in anyway though. And then the second one, um, the I think it was McTominay took the ball off Calvin Phillips, another error from him in back-to-back games, and then he led it off to Garnacho, who slid it into the corner for a second goal of the game. So Hoyland is now up to 10 goals for the season, and I think Garnacho is he on 7 for the season now. So I'd like to
Yeah,
see both of them kick on now and get to maybe 15 goals each, if possible.
absolutely. And it's going to, if we're going to win games between now and the end of the season, with the defense as we've already talked about, it's going to be the goals at the other end of the pitch will win us games. So hopefully the percentage chances they'll knock them in a lot more quickly than they did in the first half of the season. They certainly look as if they enjoy playing with each other. The shot of the three young fellas sitting on the side of the fence after the goal was lovely to see. They're the future of the club, and Menu's in the middle of it, and you can see how much he's enjoying. The football's it's not too much for him at 18. Brilliant.
Um, Jay Muddy from Stratford Paddock, who's been on the show several times, was getting a bit carried away on Twitter earlier. Although I think he was only half joking, where he posted a photo of the three young players, sitting on the advertising hoardings, and he said these three are going to be the next Golden Trinity statue outside Old Trafford.
Oh, if we could only hope. We could only hope. Well, don't drop any enthusiasm for them. Give them every help and assistance they can get, and tell them they're good. And put a shoulder around them if they need be. Remember, Manu made a mistake earlier on the season. He took it on the shoulders, got on, and he's a regular midfielder. He's on the sheet every week for me and for most United fans. He's proved that you can uh, learn from mistakes and march on. And boy, he's going to be some player. That guy.
Yeah, I think it was Roy Keane said when he departed the club in 2005 that Rooney and Ronaldo would win United the Champions League, which happened 3 years later. And I'm hoping that Menu, Hoyland, and Garnacho will win United the Champions League in the next 5 years. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, let's
And
let's hit the target high, but we need to get the defense build from the back. Let's get the defense sorted. We know what the forwards can do. I have no doubt about that.
yeah, I want an absolute top class centre half this summer that's going to play 38 Premier League games, and hopefully play most of those alongside Martinez. Um, uh, because there's too much of a drop off when we lose Martinez. At least if next season we lose him for games, hopefully not long periods, that then we feel more secure if we have another top class centre half there. The problem with us at the moment is that there's nobody near Martinez's level, not even Varane. I'm afraid he is he's on a decline. And to be honest, he's not the defender he was at Real Madrid. At times he can be really good, like he was at Anfield and several other games. But times he looks like he's lost a yard of pace, and concentration seems to let him down. Or he's too lackadaisical. Um, so yeah, Martinez is streets above any other centre back we have at the club. And so what I'm trying to say is we need to sign another centre back at that level and pair them together, and then we'll feel more secure as fans about keeping clean sheets in games. But now with Martinez being out for 6 weeks, I'm not confident with the back four of Dallo, Maguire, Varane, and Shaw. I feel we're going to concede goals in most games with that back four. But hopefully, like Casemiro and Manu can play every game to now the end of the season and provide protection for the back four. But then again, I just forgot about a certain person between the
Yes, yeah,
posts.
I'm going to whisper the goalkeeper to you. What about him? Goodness me, he doesn't inspire confidence.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't trust him at all. And there's a reason why West Ham had so many shots on goal yesterday, because they fancy that if they get one on target, it could go in. And if I was David Moyes, I'd be telling my players to do the same thing. Uh, Now, yesterday wasn't one of his worst days, but he makes far too many fundamental errors. Has been dropped by his country now. Only played one out of the 4 games for Cameroon in AFCON. But Ten Hag is extremely loyal to the player that he had at Ajax previously, and it was not going to drop him for Bayenda. We don't know how good Bayenda is because he's only played against Newport, and it's hard to judge him on that. Um, so we're going to be. I feel as if as long as Ten Hag's here, then we're going to have Onana as a number one, and that makes me feel terribly insecure about United at the back.
Well, he doesn't use his hands from corners and set pieces. He stays static on his line. He's got an advantage over the attackers that he can come out and use his hands. They can't, and he just doesn't seem to have any inclination at all to try to dominate that area, which is basically his. When you think of the pass with Schmeichel, etc., who absolutely would have roared at the defenders and the attackers and would have come out and punched the ball clear. He and Lisa saved them against Wolves, as we referred to earlier. He just is absolutely static. It's horrible to watch.
I think he's lost confidence because in both games against Wolves are a good example. Earlier in the season, he came off his line against Wolves, should have given away a penalty, but VAR has mystified absolutely everyone as to why they didn't give it. And he came off his line against Wolves last week, and as you say, Martinez had to clear it off the line. So that's why he's shy now about coming off his line because he gets nowhere near the ball when he does usually. So he's he's not he's not helping us defend corners or set pieces by coming out and collecting balls that should be his or punching them away to the halfway line. So I think all these errors that he made early on has really shattered his confidence, I believe, and it can be very hard to get back. I know that Schmeichel has said that he's given him a couple of pep talks. When he's been at Old Trafford, working for the media on Champions League nights, but
Right.
if you don't have it mentality, you don't have the mentality and you don't have the ability, it can be tough. Another issue for me is that we've been used to for since 2000 between 2011 and 2023 we had a goalkeeper whose reactions were so sharp and he was so brilliant at getting down to low shots and saving them, making saves that he had no right to make. Onana's nowhere near that level when it comes to shot stopping. He's very slow at getting down to shots, isn't he?
Oh, he is very, very much so. And it doesn't help the defenders in front of him. They don't know whether he's going to come. He doesn't. Most goalkeepers who are dominant roar to say keeper's ball, for example. It's fairly basic in any level of football. That guy doesn't do anything like that, and it's just you called it. You just do not know what he's going to do, whether he's going to move. Some of the shots that go by him, he doesn't seem to even get in the position to actually dive. They just go past him in the net, and they're not hit hard, for example. And that's the people in front of him must say they must be very frustrated by that too.
Yeah, you seen how static he was when Pedro Neto took one away last Thursday and didn't even make an attempt to save it. He didn't see it coming. Yeah, to give credit where credit's due, he made a good save yesterday from the ball that ricocheted off Ederson Alvarez, and looked like it was goal bound. He can do that from time to time. For example, in the Manchester Derby, you think he made a bunch of saves, but a bit like Maguire, there's always a big error in him, and with Onana, it can be two in one game, as we saw in the Champions League against Galatasaray. So I, it's a strong opinion, but I feel like he's going to have to be written off in the summer and replaced. I think he's our Claudio Bravo.
I think so too. But whether our manager is of a mind to, it takes some balls on behalf of the manager to admit he's made a mistake and move on. I haven't seen that inclination from the manager in the way he coaches teams. He just doesn't seem to want to. Look how long he played Anthony. When as everybody on podcast here says to you week in and week out, nobody thinks he's good enough for the Premier League. Never mind being good enough to play for our great club.
Even even Anthony's cameo appearances now are appalling. From the bench, he contributed to that third goal against Wolves by you're 3-2 up, you're defending a lead. You don't try and dribble past two defenders. You take the ball to the corner or just keep possession. It's so naive from Anthony there, and then it cost us a goal in the end. Yeah, he can't have a winger that can't beat a man. I mean,
No, no,
86 million
absolutely
quid for
not.
that.
But he had people in
Um,
space, that particular incident you refer to. He could have just knocked it sideways and kept the move going, and as you say, hold the ball up. but he tried to be too extravagant and lost the ball, and we lost a goal. He's a season and a half at the club now, and he just doesn't seem to have learnt that lesson, that there are times where you don't have to go crazy when you're leading a game. Too many times this year, especially in the Champions League, we've been in control of games, and that's one of our major weaknesses. We don't seem to able to adapt to leading a game and closing it out. Something's wrong there. This coaching need to have a look at that. Very much so.
Yeah, that is a major issue. If we were able to close games out, we'd still be in the Champions League, and we would have had a lot more points on the board this season in the Premier League. Um, yeah, even a two-goal lead for United with 10 minutes to go, I still don't feel secure. We always want that third goal, don't we? We always want that three-goal lead before we actually feel as if we've won the game, which is shocking, really. Um, Donny here says, "What I what I was most impressed with yesterday was how professional performance it was and how consistently we kept our shape, pressing at the right moments and allowing West Ham to force their own errors. Yeah, it wasn't a scintillating, exciting display at Old Trafford. It was just a professional job, wasn't it? United just went about their business. We're clinical in front of goal, and made those last ditch challenges to prevent West Ham from scoring, and it was just they worked hard for their victory. There was nothing sparkling about the performance. Um, Now, one thing I disagreed with from the manager was taking off Kobe Minu after 64 minutes for Scott McTominay. Yes, I will acknowledge that McTominay got an assist for the third goal and won the ball back on that occasion. But I just don't agree with taking Kobe Minu off. Um, when he's such an important player for us. I mean, he won us the game against Wolves, obviously, with an absolute piece of brilliance. And McTominay for me is a major drop in quality from Kobe Manu. So it's not. I just people think I'm being too harsh on Scott McTominay, but he's just uh, he has his uses, but I just don't think that he's got the ability to be a midfielder for Man United. I just feel like when he comes on, then the quality drops in the center of the park. How do you see it, Nigel?
Yeah, I agree with that entirely. I mean, remember the years of Mac Fred, the two of them, and we both were convinced that neither was good enough to play a full 90 minutes week in and week out. Now, Fred is gone, and good luck to him in his career, but McTominay was nearly gone, and nobody I know was too upset at the thought that he was leaving Old Trafford. He's done well, he's scored goals this season, but he's a guy you bring on, as you say, late in the game for an impact. You certainly don't take him on, take Menu, one of your primary players, off as early as the 64th minute or whatever minute was, because he's not at that level. His distribution, and he gives the ball away far too often.
Well, I'm going to assume that he was protecting Menu, but as we always say, you're 18 years old, you're a young man. Do you really need a rest? I suppose he played 100 minutes on Thursday night, and he played 64 minutes against West Ham, and the manager felt that I'm going to protect him now because we're 2-0 up. But we had another game for another week,
Yeah, that's right. The
so
counter argument is that there's a week between that game finishing and that young fella being ready for Aston Villa at 4:30 next Sunday. That's loads of time to recover. He doesn't need, especially as you say, the brilliant goal he scored. He was on a high. He wants to build on his performance week in and week out. So you saw it. He was very disappointed when he was substituted, and quite rightly so, because he wasn't having a bad game.
yeah, he was very disappointed to be taken off. You could see it in his body language. Um, but as Donny alludes to here, the problem is when we take off our quality players, we don't have the strength and depth on the bench to replace them, and that's why sometimes I hate making subs. Unless we're bringing on someone exciting like Amad Diallo, then
Yeah.
see when we're bringing on most of our bench is a major drop off from the starting 11. So sometimes I don't like to see substitutions for that reason. But just on Amad Diallo hasn't played since the 30th of December against Nottingham Forest, and he
Mhm.
played well in that game. And I was watching another fan show this morning, and they were equally frustrated with the lack of minutes for Diallo. Um, and Newport was an obvious opportunity to maybe start him, but even yesterday, with us being we're 3-0 up after 84 minutes. Um, would that not been a chance to bring Bruno off and give him a rest and put Diallo in at number 10? Once again, he got absolutely no minutes at all. I don't understand it, Nigel.
No, it's as I said recently. He's going to be the new Palestri under Ten Hag. He's going to get very little time at all. I understand he's very fit now and is down to play more football. He missed games through the illness. But ask the Sunderland faithful about what they think. I mean, it's a different level, the championship, but he deserves the opportunity. They've decided to keep him and sell Palestri. Well, let's give him a few games and more minutes, and let us all have a judgment, because when you're as far ahead in the game as that, you couldn't see West Ham yesterday scoring four in the last 6 minutes. So why not throw him on, give him the experience, and the crowd would have cheered him on. They want to see the guy.
Yeah, with the best 11 being available in the last few games, I don't expect to see Ahmad play against Wolves and West Ham. But you'd expect him to come off the bench. He brought him on after like 55 minutes against Forest. Um, didn't I don't understand how you can empty the whole bench and Ahmad still sits down. Uh, it's confusing. To me, he's a very exciting young player. I want to see more of him. Um, Away to Aston Villa, I'm not seeing an opportunity there for him either. Luton, it depends, if we manage to put the game away early or not. There's no midweek games now, really. There may be the odd one in the Premier League, but there's obviously no European football. So if he's not going to bring him on as a sub, then he's not going to get any minutes at all, which is very disappointing. I suppose another thing that's not went in his favour is that Garnacho has kind of consolidated the right wing position, and that's his number one position. Diallo, obviously he's versatile. He can play on the left. He can play at number 10, and also, but yeah, I thought yesterday there could have been an opportunity there after 80 minutes or so to take off Bruno Fernandes and give Diallo maybe 10 minutes plus stoppage time and get a look at him and see what he's like in that position. But the manager didn't avail of that opportunity. Um, so Bruno Fernandes, while he got an assist for Garnacho's second or first goal, the second goal of the game for United, um, was mostly an individual goal really. But I thought his performance was lacking again. Um, Too many wayward passes, and yeah, he's not in the greatest of form at the moment, is he, Nigel?
No, he's not, sadly. I mean, nobody admires more than me the amount of goals and assists he scored since he came to the club in January 2020. But his current form, with all the people around me watching these games are saying that he should be doing more. He's given the ball away a lot. Thankfully, he wasn't too involved. The way the game went, he wasn't too involved shouting at the referee yesterday, which is a real pain for most fans. But for a player of that quality, the odd cross-field ball or spray down the left hand side, and then nothing for the rest of the 90 minutes. I mean, he's playing there every week on the strength of what he's done previously. On current form, he's not playing well. I think most people would agree with that.
No, but then he can just he's the type of player that can play a blinder out of nowhere. In the next game he could come away with 2 goals, and we'll be singing his praises again. But there hasn't been enough of those performances lately. I suppose we were kind of spoiled in his first 6 months of the club. He seemed to be scoring goals and assists in every single match, and we thought that
Yeah,
was the way it was going to be for years. But it can be hard to maintain that form during your whole time at the club. But yeah,
yeah.
I
And the
just
other
want to come
thing,
back to him. Go ahead.
the other thing, Kyle, is the dead ball situations. He has total control over corners and free kicks, and they are wasted time and space. They really are. It's not. They have to try something else. It shouldn't automatically go to him because he's the captain that he takes every corner and takes every free kick. There should be other players within that squad able to do that, because you often say to me, he'll hit the wall or he'll go over the bar. When does he ever? I mean, he had one save yesterday, which was a routine save, really, for the goalkeeper. He was that far out when he shot. But really, he's not justifying himself the way he used to do with set ball situations. We are really, really weak in that area.
Yeah, I don't get excited when we get a free kick anymore. Um, when other teams get a free kick, they have a specialist and they have a chance of scoring. West Ham, obviously, with Ward Prowse. But when we get a free kick, I'm just not even interested anymore because I expect it to either be off target or hit the wall. And it's very, very disappointing that we don't really have a set piece specialist anymore at the club. Well, I just want to go back to Menu for a second. Danny makes a decent point here that you know he did suffer a long-term injury in pre-season, which meant that his season didn't really start until November when he made his Premier League first Premier League start against Everton, of which he was excellent in that game. Um, so yeah, I think Ten Hag is being a bit cautious. I suppose he doesn't want Menu to get another injury, another muscle tear or something like that. So he's just being overly cautious. It can be frustrating as a fan when you're taking off one of your best players to bring on Scott McTominay, but you can look at it from the manager's point of view that he feels this game is more or less won and he wants to protect a very important player for Aston Villa,
Yeah,
albeit it
that's a
was a
good
week
point.
away.
That's a good
But
point.
yeah,
Well made.
so player ratings. I'm going to ask you to do them this time, then, Nigel.
Mhm.
Andre Onana,
Well, he made very early on. He made a great save from close range. I'd give him a 5.
uh, Diogo Dallo,
Well, he a better game than normal for me. I'd give him a 6.
and Martinez,
Oh, a 9. He only played 70 minutes, but a 9 for me. He was totally dominant. Wonderful distribution as well, which is an asset for a back four player. Excellent, yeah.
yeah, totally agree. Harry Maguire,
I'd give him a 6. Made the one mistake, but he didn't do anything spectacular for me. Yeah.
Luke Shaw,
I give him a 7. He's very good in that left hand side. His weakness is his defensive play, but he's certainly his interaction with Rashford. It wasn't so prominent as it was on Thursday night against Wolves, but he's a very exciting player the way he gets around the back and crosses the ball and creates chances.
yeah, he's just a tidy footballer. He tried to play a 1-2 at Rashford, but Rashford didn't give it back to him. Had he have done so, Shaw was in a prime position to play that ball across the 6 yard box for a tap in, but Rashford went for the shot that went wide of the post. Yeah, but they've got a rapport there, them two. So hopefully they can both um play the rest of the season together, and we can reap the benefits of that. So Casemiro
I'd give him an 8. Best game I've seen from him this season. Very played the whole. Great to see him play the full game.
and Kobe.
I'd give him a 7. Another steady game. He does the simple things very easily, and he can see movement in front of him. So he's getting better every game, as far as I'm concerned.
And Bruno Fernandez
I'd give him a 6. He just had a quiet game by his standards.
and Alejandro Garnacho.
Oh, I'd give him a 9. He scored 2 goals. Looked to be enjoying himself. Has genuine flair. Always excited me from the moment I saw him playing for the youth team. Brilliant, brilliant prospect. And just if he keeps his head in the ground, he'd go to the top of the game.
And Rasmus Hoyland.
Oh, I'd give him an 8. Scored the important first goal. His link up play is getting better and better now, and the fact that he was confident enough to score on the right side, it gives great hope for the future. He's a lot of promise. That guy. He's getting more service, and he wants that service. He's prepared to take responsibility as centre forward, and that's a good sign.
And trying to think of who was playing on the left. Was it Rashford? Sorry, yeah, Rashford.
Martinez, Rashford, yeah. I'd give him a 6, no more than that. I think his body language is not good enough for me. He's just not involved. Times he's just watching the ball and watching people run past him. Uh, after what we've seen in recent games and the scores, he's got a great home. He was getting back to his best, but yesterday, for whatever reason, and who knows what's in his head, may come out later what all his domestic problems are, whatever it is. But his game isn't there at the moment, Kyle. I don't know if you agree or not.
Well, it says it all that I couldn't remember who was playing on the left. I think that answers your question. um, so Eric Ten Hag, what does he get?
Well, he got a 3-0 win at home, so I'd give him a 7. Yeah, very good. Results. It's a results business, and he got the results yesterday. But there are things he has to work on and learn from. So let's hope. He hoped that this was going to be his main team for the rest of the season. Martinez, how's he going to adapt to that? There's going to be an awful lot of work have to be put in the training ground before next Sunday if we're going to hold them out.
I think Ten Hag called it a disaster, the injury to Martinez, and I think we all feel the same. He knows how crucial he is, and we only just got him back. There's been a lot of poor mismanagement at Manchester United since 2013, but there's been a lot of bad luck as well, and this is another one of those occasions. Sometimes things just don't go your way, and it's happened again. It's just the one defender that you didn't want to lose, and that's the one that we've lost again. And I mean, he only made his comeback was it against Tottenham as a substitute. I mean, that was only mid-January, and here we are, the 5th of February, and we've lost him again.
Yeah.
um, so the next game is Aston Villa, which is going to be really, really tough. Uh, Coming off a 5-0 win, Sheffield United. I know that Sheffield United have lost by five or more goals 5 times this season, but Villa have been so impressive this season, scoring goals for fun. Unai Emery is a manager that I'm a big fan of. If we're going to recruit within the Premier League, he would be someone that I'd be looking at. Um, and they are fourth in the league. They are 8 points ahead of us. And their goal difference is 19, whereas ours is -1. At home, United probably one of United's best performances of the season in that game. We went 2-0 down to Aston Villa after about 20 minutes. Then United dominated the game for the last 70 minutes of the match and fully deserved the 3-2 victory. I think again on that occasion, I think Garnacho got two and Hoyland got one. It's exactly the same as yesterday. We're going to need more of the same from those two gems up front, aren't we, if we're going to win at Villa Park?
Oh, definitely. The Birmingham's the second city in England, Kyle, and they have a great home support. Always have done when I've been watching them in the old First Division, and they're fired up. Most of their fans would probably admit that they can't believe that they are in the position that they're currently in the Premier League. But as you say, the manager's very good judgment. He seems to get the absolute best out of some players who you would think weren't at the top level, but he's got them all believing, and it's up to us to believe that we can go away and win a game as important as this. I mean, we had to beat West Ham yesterday. They were above us in the league. Now we've gone past them. We have to set the same goal to achieve the same at Villa Park. So, but the first 20 minutes will be very, very crucial because we'll have a new central defence pairing again, and that goalkeeper behind. We have to keep it a clean sheet very early on, or they'll go on the rampage, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to keep a clean sheet in this game, especially without Lissandro. So I think we're going to have to score at least 3 goals to win this game. But we're more than capable of it, with our front players really firing at the moment. If you remember, from most of this season, we've been complaining about the lack of goals from forwards, but they've certainly turned that around in recent weeks, and it's given us a chance to win games again. But this is out of all the fixtures in February, this is the toughest by a mile. Um, I don't think we can even afford a draw because we need wins to get closer to that fourth position. And Villa are the team in fourth, so if we could win the game, we'd be within 5 points of them. A draw would leave us still 8 points off them, so it's not good enough. We have to win the game, don't we?
Yeah, it has to be manager led, great positivity, and as you say, the forwards are really firing at the moment, and the link play between them, it's very quick, fast and direct, and they're enjoying playing with each other. Whilst there was none of that before Christmas, so we've turned it around there. So if we can get us an early goal and get the midfield sound and keep the pressure on them back by getting behind them, getting the ball into the middle, there's no reason why we can't win that game if we can solidify the back four, which is, I say, is a weak link at the moment.
Well, no matter what happens, I think it's going to be exciting. I think it's going to be goals at both ends, and it's going to be really entertaining. No surprise that Sky have selected it as one of their live matches. As Donny here says, great to listen to your analysis, lads. Love to support local channels. Being from Derry myself and living in Belfast, so yeah, thanks for the comment, Donny. It's good to have people from Ireland listening to the show as well. Um, as other people around the world, we like to have people from Australia watching if they can, given the time difference. We like to have people from the Middle East, Africa, South America, US, Europe. But it's always great to have local lads listen to the show as well. So, Nigel, it's been a pleasure as always.
Oh, no problem, Kyle. Anytime. Enjoyed it. Yeah. Thanks.
If everyone could please smash a like on the video, get more of your comments in, I'll reply to those, and subscribe to the podcast. And I will be back following the Aston Villa game.